Fox News alert Hezbollah. Hezbollah is vowing to punish Israel after accusing them of wounding thousands across Lebanon by detonating explosives hidden inside pagers.
The devices were reportedly tampered with by Israeli intelligence operatives before they ended up in the pockets of the Iranian-backed terrorists.
Mike Tobin joins us live from Tel Aviv. Mike, we've never seen this kind of a brilliant strategic move like this in history. What are the people of Israel saying about it?
Well, the Israelis are rather proud of their Mossad. Of course, the Mossad hasn't confirmed that they were part of this attack. People on the other side of the border are rather outraged. The Lebanese health ministry now says that the death toll from this pager attack has risen to 12, and they say it includes 2 children. Around 3,000 people were injured after yesterday afternoon. Pagers started exploding all over Lebanon. They exploded, we know now, in Syria as well. The pagers beat before they went off. As a result, a lot of the injuries are to the hands and fingers of the people who reach for their pagers. Injuries are to the eyes and faces of people who looked at their pagers, and of course there are injuries to the waist and pocket area where most people would carry their pagers. Now, according to reports, it was Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah himself who ordered the use of pagers because he thought it was too easy for Israel to track or hack into smartphones. Security experts say the explosions were more powerful than just a battery, so at some point the pagers were sabotaged and explosive charges as well as switches were installed on each device. The pagers were a Taiwanese brand, Gold Apollo, but the chairman of that company says they licensed the name to a company out of Europe called BAC, who says he made the pagers. I reached out to BAC, no response. The Associated Press is reporting that BAC is starting to look like a shell company. The U.S. says they had no heads-up warning about the attack.
I can tell you that the U.S. was not involved in it. The U.S. was not aware of this incident in advance, and at this point we're gathering information.
Hezbollah blames Israel for the pager attack with a statement that reads, in part, the treacherous and criminal enemy will surely receive his just retribution for the sinful aggression from where it counts and from where it doesn't count. The north of Israel remains on high alert now for retaliation from Hezbollah. Israeli media is reporting that paratroopers from the elite 98th Division have left Gaza and are redeploying to the north of Israel. More than 60,000 Israelis have already evacuated from the north as rockets and drones are fired almost every day. And Israel, predictably, is not saying anything about the pager attack. Guys?
And Mike Tobin, of course, Israel's not saying anything, but we presume it was Israel. It just goes to show you that they were able to coordinate this so well somewhere between where the pagers left a warehouse and before it wound up at Hezbollah HQ. Somebody was able to install 1 or 2 ounces of detonating explosive in each one of them. But it just goes to show you that these Israelis have got people probably either on the inside or they can surveil what they're doing at Hezbollah.
Well, there's new information that BAC looks like it might be a shell company. Don't overlook the possibility that they created the company for the purpose of producing bogus pagers with explosives.
Oh, that would be crafty.
You're absolutely right.
So I'm curious, Mike, the United States government is saying that we didn't know about it or had no involvement with it.
Well, that's what we're getting out of the State Department and out of D.C. And obviously something like this would have to be as top secret gets, because once word got out that it could happen, it would fail. In fact, there is a different reporting coming out now that the Hezbollah operatives started to get suspicious of their pagers, and that's why they were detonated yesterday. Obviously, if Hezbollah was aware that they had explosive devices that they were carrying around with them, they'd get rid of them, and the attack wouldn't be effective. So at least if these reports are accurate, it was detonate them yesterday or don't detonate them at all.
So am I to understand, Mike, if I remember correctly, since the attack on those Hezbollah higher-ups about a month ago, as well as the killing of Hania in Iran, we're waiting for some type of retribution from both sides, and Israel is braced for that. And not only have they not gotten hit, they've attacked massively in this way. Have I missed anything, or is that really the cycle of events?
No, that really does seem to be the cycle of events. Everyone is waiting. There's a lot of tension about what Iran's retaliation will be for the assassination of Ismail Hania. I haven't seen it yet, but they can do that in their own time.
All right. Thank you so much. It's
Thanks,
interesting
Mike.
that the leader of Hezbollah decided to give them pagers because he thought they were safer.
Right.
Turns out they weren't, and Israel was able to access these pagers before they were distributed. That means someone inside Hezbollah probably is giving this information to Israel.
Or Israel's just surveilling.
Or Israel was able to anticipate where Haniya would stay when he went to Iran. He went there for the funeral or the inauguration of the new president. They had to anticipate the townhouse or whatever he was in, and they blew it up. Then they had to anticipate Nasrallah switching from the cell phone to the pager, come up with a pager company, which is a subsidiary of a Taiwanese company, and then be the engineers of it. I mean, there's something in between we don't know. It's a puzzle we're not supposed to solve.
I do find it very interesting that the Mossad, who is the closest intelligence agency to the United States intelligence, and either they're denying it and we knew, or they didn't feel comfortable sharing this information with our government. That definitely sends a message. So.
Right.
Well, it was something. The cover of the New York Post says, beep, beep, boom. I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.